Before we talk about the shit show that was Activision Blizzard's announcement of their new Diablo game, I would like to ask you, do you all remember what happened when EA announced their new Command & Conquer game? Fans were hoping for a full-fledged new entry in the long-dormant series, but what they got instead was EA gleefully announcing a brand new mobile game called Command & Conquer Rivals. There's a good reason why people say that EA's audience for their E3 2018 press conference wasn't us, the consumers, but rather the investors. Very little time was spent on showing gameplay footage for anticipated titles like Battlefield 5 or Anthem, while a full 8 minutes long match was showcased of this travesty. This wasn't EA appealing to gamers, as it goes without saying that nobody asked for a mobile outing of Command & Conquer. It was them goading investors by dangling in front of them a cheaply made, highly monetizable product. If EA truly cared about the fans, if they knew who their E3 audience was, they wouldn't have had the audacity to spotlight a mobile version of an unfortunately deserted series as one of their major announcements. The backlash against Command & Conquer Rivals, as I'm sure many of you are no doubt aware, was swift and merciless. Fans all over the world protested EA's butchering of a once-beloved franchise, a butchering not too dissimilar to something like Dungeon Keeper, the acclaimed PC series of games turned into a microtransactions-infested mobile game. In response to the backlash, EA executive Patrick Soderlund talked about how gamers make the mistake of saying that we know what we want. He talked about how mobile was a great fit for the Command & Conquer series, and how the game could reach hundreds of millions of players around the world, and how we all have to start respecting mobile games. Yup, Patrick had the balls to say that we need to respect mobile games while helping lead a company whose mobile outings are far from respectable. Now, given the kind of reaction Command & Conquer Rivals garnered, you would think that other companies would learn not to follow in EA's footsteps by making a butchered mobile entry of a beloved franchise the highlight of a show attended by fans and hardcore gamers. But in comes Activision Blizzard, who decided to double down on this mind-bogglingly baffling strategy during BlizzCon 2018. It is no secret that the amount of hype surrounding the next mainline entry in the Diablo franchise is undeniable, with Diablo 3 having launched over 6 years ago on May 15th, 2012. Fans are thinking that it's about time for Blizzard to announce Diablo 4, or at the very least some kind of Diablo remaster to mull us over. So when principal game designer Wyatt Chang took the stage to talk about Diablo, you can imagine how excited the audience was. But then, as Chang began to segue into discussing about how our modern world is more interconnected than ever before through our mobile devices, it began to dawn on everyone that this wasn't going to be an announcement to look forward to.
Our modern world is an increasingly connected one. Our mobile devices keep us closer than ever to our friends, family, and loved ones. So we knew we want to use mobile devices as the platform for a new Diablo game.
You can already feel the sense of foreboding at this point with the lack of reaction from the audience, until finally, sure enough, Diablo Immortal, a mobile game being developed in partnership with NetEase that takes place between the events of Diablo 2 and 3, was announced via a cinematic trailer, and after its conclusion, you can see in this panning shot of the audience that barely anyone is cheering or applauding. Chang then proceeded by highlighting some of the story beats players can expect before building up to the gameplay reveal. Chang finally showed off the gameplay trailer, and well, what else is there to say except that it looks like a poor man's Diablo 3. Some people are even thinking that Diablo Immortal looks rather familiar, as partner NetEase has published a number of other titles with similar graphics, interface, and gameplay, all of them which in themselves look like Diablo ripoffs. Endless of God is one particular NetEase title that many people are drawing similarities to, and if you put it side by side with Diablo Immortal, yeah, it's hard to deny that the similarities here are pretty striking. In response to the rumors, Blizzard issued the following statement. Blizzard, in partnership with NetEase, has built Diablo Immortal from the ground up for iOS and Android. Wyatt Chang also told website IGN that, quote, "We have been working with NetEase Games from the beginning as a partnership to create everything in Diablo Immortal. We have artists on our side, they have artists on their side, and we work together as a team, as a partnership to create everything about Diablo Immortal. The environments, the characters, the skills, the story." The thing is, everything Chang is talking about here, art, environment, character, skills, story, that's all what comprises a game's skin. If only that stuff's been altered while the core gameplay template remains the same as other NetEase games, that's kind of the very definition of a reskin. Personally speaking, based on the footage I've seen, it's hard for me to think that NetEase didn't recycle some aspects of their gameplay templates while shoving in Diablo visuals and themes to bring this game to life. But I also cannot claim with certainty one way or another. Anyway, Chang proceeded by unveiling the gameplay trailer for this Diablo game that nobody asked for, and once again the reaction was middling at best. Hell, even Chang seemed to feel the pressure from the ire emanating from the audience as he stumbled his way through the final moments of the press conference.
For those of you who are here at BlizzCon, thank you. We are going to have... Sorry.
The cherry on top to all this is that Diablo Immortal was what BlizzCon's presentation closed with. You know how they say you should save the best for last? Well, Blizzard completely ignored that sage advice and thought it would be a good idea to make this mobile game their final big showstopper. How out of touch must they be to think that a mobile game would be the best way to close a major showcase attended by hardcore fans? How little must Activision Blizzard think of their audience, who took time out of their schedule and paid to attend the celebration event out of love for game franchises like Diablo, to believe that they would react well to any of this? It was bad enough when EA pulled something like this with Command & Conquer, a less popular and more obscure franchise. So I don't know what Blizzard thought would happen if they pulled something similar with one of the most treasured game franchises in the world. And react the gaming community did, starting with the mass disliking of the trailers that have been uploaded to YouTube. Last time I checked, the cinematic trailer had 8.6 thousand likes to 266,000 dislikes, and the gameplay trailer had 5.3 thousand likes and 129,000 dislikes, which is an abysmal response. It didn't help matters that seeing how bad the reception was, Blizzard tried to mitigate the backlash by unlisting an earlier upload of the cinematic trailer and re-uploading the video to reset the likes and dislikes bar. But of course, not only did people pick up on this, which only made matters worse, it did little to improve the negative response, as there is no changing the fact that the gaming community universally abhors what Blizzard has done here by making a mobile Diablo Lite game their marquee announcement during freaking BlizzCon and by toying with fans' expectations and anticipation. Blizzard also added fuel to the fire by going out of their way to delete unfavorable comments on YouTube, which is just about one of the worst and most pointless ways to deal with backlash of this magnitude. Beyond YouTube, one look at social media outlets like Twitter, as well as forums like Reddit, will reveal just how extensive of a PR nightmare this whole ordeal has become for Blizzard. The savagery doesn't stop there, though. Shortly after the BlizzCon opening ceremony conference, the Diablo development team hosted a Q&A session for their upcoming release, and one attendee in particular asked the question that most folks had on their minds.
Hey, just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
No, it's a fully fledged Diablo experience on mobile, which everybody will get to play, and hopefully which will bring new heroes to Sanctuary, as well as welcoming our community back into it, and something we're very excited about.
There is some debate about whether it was rude for the fan to ask what he did, but if you ask me, this is a Q&A panel for a celebration event where there is give and take between the fans and the developers, so expressing disapproval over how Blizzard handled this Diablo announcement is something that attendees should be able to do within reason. It's not as if this guy verbally attacked the developers, he simply expressed very bluntly how baffling this all was to him in the format of a question. And I think, given what happened, that's a very understandable sentiment. What he did was certainly less rude than for Blizzard to think that BlizzCon attendees would greet the terribly timed and hyped announcement of a Diablo mobile game with open arms. Another moment of the Q&A panel that many are highlighting as further expression of disapproval is this one right here.
I was curious, I see a lot of mechanics that we've kind of been begging for in Diablo 3 in this. Is there any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this strictly mobile forever?
Are there any? The current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
Oh no, we do have smartphones, but we also have perfectly functional PCs or consoles where we'd love to play a proper new Diablo game with. Hell, even a sparkly new remaster will suffice until the sequel to Diablo 3 is ready to be unveiled to the world. Honestly, did Blizzard expect that there wouldn't be some tension in the air when they decided to host a panel dedicated to a mobile Diablo game after completely crushing Diablo fans' spirits with the announcement of a cash grab product? Now, Wyatt Chang did eventually respond to inquiries about the community reaction to Diablo Immortal's announcement when speaking to website IGN, and his response is not all that dissimilar to how other companies have justified bringing their franchises to mobile. He said, quote, "I don't think mobile should be a dirty word when it came to looking at making a new Diablo game, and this opportunity to partner with NetEase to make this, the technology is there where our mobile phones are more powerful than ever and they're capable of top-tier gaming experiences." Chang saying that mobile shouldn't be construed as a dirty word is basically the equivalent of EA's Patrick Soderlund saying that we need to start respecting mobile games. To that, I once again raise the point that the reason mobile is seen as a dirty word by gamers and the reason mobile games aren't considered respectable is because of the predatory practices that hypocritical game companies implement in them. Most mobile games aren't games at all. They are money-milking machines disguised as games. And there is very little reason to believe that Activision, of all companies, will forego the opportunity to monetize a mobile outing of Diablo to hell and back. Activision's history speaks for itself, with people already unhappy about how microtransactions are being handled in Black Ops 4. I should also remind you that Activision Blizzard took a shot at monetizing Diablo with Diablo 3's auction house, which was forced to shut down after that garnered its own fair share of backlash. Given everything we know about Activision, you'd be a fool to believe that the company isn't thinking about ways to maximize revenue, regardless of the expense that may have on the game's integrity. It doesn't help that early impressions of the game prove what many feared, that Diablo's transition to mobile would come with certain compromises, that this wouldn't really be the full-fledged Diablo experience fans know and love. This is very much Diablo Light, and its existence is undoubtedly more of a corporate decision than a creative one. I will say this, Blizzard could have probably mitigated backlash if they had at least teased Diablo 4 at the very end of the conference, right after Diablo Immortal's showcase, if they would have given fans something that's actually desirable to latch onto and look forward to. I think what made this backlash so widespread was that Blizzard chose to make Diablo Immortal's announcement such a major highlight during an event in which mobile games don't really belong. The announcement was made at the wrong time, at the wrong place, at the wrong scale with the wrong amount of hype, with nothing truly worthwhile following it up, and it all culminated in fans feeling like they were burned, like their time was wasted, like they were slapped in the face, like this was some kind of off-season April Fool's joke that nobody's laughing about. If Activision Blizzard didn't see this widespread negative reaction coming, if they honestly thought people attended or tuned into BlizzCon to bask in some cash grab mobile game, they are much more out of touch with fans and the gaming community than originally anticipated. So that's where we're currently at, everyone, and that's my perspective on the matter. I'd love to hear what your take is on the announcement of Diablo Immortal and the ensuing protest in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content and would like to support this channel directly, consider donating on Patreon. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.